will sing of mercy and justice. And to you, O God, I will sing praise. Welcome to another Monday morning session of Dominion TV's Wake Up Africa. My name is Biadala, and I am going to be your host for today, taking you through all the amazing things that will keep you informed, educated, and inspired. It's African Conversations all the way, one conversation at a time, hoping that we'll be able to crush our African goals and all our African dreams. So come along with us on our social media handles. It's My Dominion TV. You want to like, you want to share, and you want to drop your comments. You know how we do. We're going to be coming your way with the weather. We'll do birthdays. Then there will be news reviews. There will be wake up buzz by way of keeping you informed on what's happening on the international scene and on the local scene, okay? And then also we'll be having lots of conversations. The one that really strikes me is about a program that we would be keeping you informed about. It is an award system or an award scheme, and you want to be a part of that. You want to know how to be a part of this award system. I'll keep you informed on all of that. How about we start off with the weather prophet, keeping us updated on what's going to be happening with the weather for today. If the weather prophet is ready, can we have him, please? Good morning, weather prophet.
Good morning, Biadela, the precious one.
Oh, you know I love it when you call me that.
Yeah, the only precious one in Ghana.
Great. I hope your weekend was great.
Oh, the weekend was great. It was a very rainy weekend, especially yesterday.
Oh,
I think yesterday the rain slightly skipped your area.
Yeah, it skipped my area. Looks like our sins are a bit much, but it's okay. We can deal with that.
Yeah, because during the early stage of the year, you were enjoying the rain. Now the middle sectors will enjoy the rain more.
That's fine. So take us away. What should we expect today?
Thank you very much. And let me first greet our cherished viewers and listeners of Wake Up Africa on Dominion TV this morning. It's the beginning of another brand new week, Monday, 17 days into the month of March 2025. And we are looking at the weather for the next 24 hours over the entire country. It will be mostly cloudy and misty over most parts of the country, especially the southern half of the country, due to the big rainstorm that swept over the northern sectors, transition middle and slightly north of the coastal belt yesterday night. However, since we are in the hottest month in the year, the sunny condition will not be left out. It will be sunny in the afternoon across the entire country in the afternoon, with chances of rainfall activity over parts of the northern transition and middle sectors in the evening before after 7 p.m. Also elsewhere, a few places in Nigeria, middle sectors or middle parts of Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, and especially most parts of Sierra Leone will also experience thunderstorm activities in the evening. The state of the sea today in our country will be very rough. So there will be the need for precautionary measures to be taken. Temperatures will range from 24 degrees Celsius to 33 degrees Celsius over the coastal belts, 22 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius over the middle sectors, 21 degrees Celsius in the morning to 37 degrees Celsius in the afternoon over the transition belts, and 26 degrees Celsius to 42 degrees Celsius over the northern sectors of the country. So Biadela, the precious one of the country, this is how the weather is going to be over the next 24 hours. However, I will keep you updated with any changes for viewers and listeners to be very much aware. Thank you very much. Biadela, the precious one, the only precious one in Ghana.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Weather Prophet. So now we know what's going to be happening with the weather for today in Ghana and some parts of Africa because we share, borders with these people, and some weather conditions also with them. So there it is. Thank you very much, Weather Prophet. Have a beautiful day. So how about we settle now for some birthdays? I know Monday is such a weird day to celebrate birthday, right? What do you do on a Monday when it's your birthday? I don't know. I'm just going to go to work and pray to God. But let's celebrate these people. Happy birthday.
Yeah. It's your birthday. It's your day. One day out of 365. It's your day. One day out of 365. Happy birthday. Woo, to you. Happy birthday. Yeah. To you. Happy birthday to you. To you. You gotta happy birthday. Oh, yeah. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Yeah. It's your birthday. It's your day. One day out of 365. It's your day. One day out of 365. Happy birthday. Woo, to you. Happy birthday. Yeah. To you. Happy birthday to you. To you. You gotta happy birthday.
Okay, so happy birthday to all these beautiful celebrants. May the Lord bless you, keep you, make his face shine upon y'all. May money locate you. Because in Africa, if you don't have money, it's like, your birthday is not really nice. Happy birthday to all of you. Now, a very special birthday going out to the niece of one of our very own, Nicholas. Happy birthday to you. Nicholas's niece. Can we put her on TV right now so that we can see her beautiful face? Happy birthday to you. May the Lord bless you, Uncle Nicholas's niece. All right, so let's get on with Wake Up Us, shall we? Want to keep you updated on what's happening on the international front and as well as the local front. Fire guards 3 female dormitories at Laboni Senior High School. Really, really terrible. This occurred in the afternoon around 1 p.m. and I don't know, but this is really, really, really sad. So we have student mattresses, chop boxes, learning materials, and other items were completely destroyed. And the report suggests that students were on prep and learning at the time the incident occurred. We need to be extra careful now. We have to find out what could be the cause. Is it arson, which is, the act of the person who did it intentionally, or it has to be something as students cooking in the dormitories unlawfully? We need to fully find what could be the cause of these fires, because that's a loss to us, to the school, and to the state as well. Anyway. So, the story of Reverend Kusi Boatin doesn't seem to get some rest, does it? Reverend Kusi Boatin dismisses reports of his arrest and denies allegations of misusing cathedral funds. So, there was a video that that came up, he was actually talking to his church members, telling them that they said that he was running away. But why? Who is he running away from? He's a law-abiding citizen, and I've not stolen from anyone. That's what he told his people. And so he told them that if they hear any rumors of his arrest, they should drink water and sleep, because he's not running away from anybody. He's not guilty. He hasn't spent our money. And so all the things that Kujetua Black one brought up is balderdash, according to him. Yeah. Anyway, but we pray that we're able to, scrutinize this case, and if he's found culpable, why not? He should face the full rigors of the law. Right. 39-year-old man sentenced 21 months for stealing electrical cables worth 195,000 Ghana cedis. Why? Why, Mr. Felix Amwa? Why? That means that, every day for thief man, one day for master. So it means that it could be something that had been happening. And these cables belong to the Ghana Water Company. These are things that are helping us to get water in our homes. And you steal the power copper cables. I don't understand. So his worship, famous Yao Amenyo, based on evidence placed before him, stated that the convict Felix Amwa was in Doba on October 13, 2023, and when the theft incident happened, and that the convict engaged in an unlawful damage and stealing, and is thus criminally liable. His his sentence comes with hard labor. We pray that he learns his lessons and doesn't come back to the community to do that again. And that should be a lesson to those who have been stealing ECG cables, water company cables. Y'all have to be careful. Right, Ashanti region now. 6 excavators seized and 3 foreign nationals arrested for mining along River Enum. Does this mining galamsey thing ever get better? Because it's not only in Ghana, it's in other parts of the world. And you mainly see Chinese people. What is the story of China? What's happening? Why is China bent on destroying the rest of the world to just make them better? I really don't understand these things. And, we arrest them and we don't hear the rest of the story. What happens? Do we sentence them? Do we take them back to their countries? And, the case of, how have I forgotten that Chinese lady's name? She came in, did the galamsey thing, went out again. Aisha came back. The laws just seem to be very weak when it comes to, especially the Chinese. Look, China, I have to be very careful. I mean, if you want to be a superpowered nation, do things right. Don't send your people to come and destroy other nations and then make yourself better. What do you hope to achieve? Get serious. All right. Because it's bad, it's terrible. All right, so Ghana and Japan have signed a $13.44 million grant agreement to improve power supply in Tamale. So I learned in Tamale, some people don't have electricity strong enough to power something as little as a blender. And it affects their phone's battery life and all of that. So this is a good call so that they are able to beef up their power supply. It will help businesses, it will help homes, and it will also help for education purposes. So that's a good call. That's a good call. Thank you, Japan, for that. Let's get on with international news, shall we? Angola urges ceasefire ahead of DRC M23 peace talks. So the Angolan president, João Lourenço, currently chair of the African Union, has called for an immediate ceasefire in the ongoing conflict in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. Lorenco urged all parties to stop hostilities starting at midnight local time on Sunday in an effort to create a peaceful atmosphere for upcoming peace talks. So we're expecting that all activities, everything that they used to do to civilians, that's hostile actions against civilians, should halt so that we're able to have this peace talk that is scheduled for March 18th. Yeah. So we're praying that we'll be able to make something out of these peace talks. We hear a lot of peace talks, but what's the end of it? May this one be different, because we want Africa to be peaceful. We need to forge ahead. Yeah. Now the very next one. Trump proposes expanding travel ban to 43 countries. So in the quest to heal his America, in his statement, Trump says he came to heal America again because his predecessor literally damaged the country according to his perspective. And so in his quest to heal America again, he is expanding travel ban, potentially targeting citizens from up to 43 countries. We are looking at Cuba, Iran, North Korea, Syria, Venezuela, Yemen, Afghanistan, and the likes. Is this a good call? Well, that's their decision to make. To another very terrible news. Acid spill devastates Zambia Kafue River. So another Chinese-owned mine has contaminated a major river that could potentially affect millions of people after signs of pollution were detected at least 100 kilometers, that's 60 miles downstream. So the activities of the mining people, so where all these heavy metals and acid stuff are kept, it got broken down, all right? And all these things flew back into the river. It's going to affect lives. Chinese company. Again, in Africa. The least said, the better. Sudan bans all imports from Kenya after it hosted civil war rivals. So instead of us forging ahead as Africans, it's so sad. Sudan has suspended all imports from Kenya in protests after the Parliamentary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, who are fighting the army in a 2-year civil war, were hosted in Nairobi. So the war-torn country imports several products from Kenya. We're looking at tea, food items, pharmaceutical products, and all these have been halted after this meeting. Well, South African ambassador no longer welcome in US, Rubio says. Well, let's just move on with our lives, shall we? And then Congo says it will join peace talks with Rwanda-backed rebels on Tuesday. So we're expecting a peace talk tomorrow. And this is in line with the M23 rebels. And that will begin in the Angolan capital, Luanda, on March 18th. What do you expect out of the peace talks? What should we expect? What should be the aftermath of a peace talk? I pray that we are able to get Africa together and forge ahead. Africa is supposed to be one against the rest of the world. We shouldn't be self-divided. It won't take us anywhere. May the peace talk end well. Yeah. Anyway, well, another thing too is that the president of Ghana is put up a committee that's going to review the constitution. It should be something that we should be concerned about. You should be concerned about as a Ghanaian, because your input is necessary. It's not just the job of the committee, but it's the job of you and I. What do you want reviewed in the constitution that will help you, your life, your business as a Ghanaian? Should be able to contribute to that. We should be having such discussions on the morning show, and I'm sure Coco will be fired up to keep you updated on that. How about we go for a little break, and then when we get back, the Wake Up Africa show continues.
I want to welcome you to Wake Up Africa morning show. If Africa has ever needed to wake up, it's now. I promise you that this Wake Up Africa morning show will impact your life. It will illuminate you. The Bible said that thy word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. You need this insight. You need the understanding required to make all the difference in all of our lives. I want you not just to tune in to the Wake Up Africa morning show, but I want you to be a sponsor. I want you to partner with us as we take this Wake Up Africa morning show, the inspiration it brings, the impact across all Africa, to homes, to individuals, impacting lives. Join us to make a difference. It is said and believed that in this life, what you do to change the life of others matters than what you acquire for yourself. It is believed that it's not what you have, what you possess that matters, but the difference you made in the life of others. I believe as you partner with Wake Up Africa morning show, you'll be joining us to make a difference in the life of so many people out there. Partner with us, and every time we touch a life, you are blessed. Every time we impact a family, you'll be remembered for good. God bless you. Looking forward to partnering with you and tuning in to Wake Up Africa morning show.
One upgrade is nice, but a double upgrade is amazing. And that's how we do it. Upgrade today to get even more with Step Up. If you're on GOtv Max and upgrade to GOtv Super, you'll get way more with GOtv Super Plus.
It's so cool!
Get big value. Get big entertainment.
Very good.
Perfect! Upgrade and get even more with GOtv. GOtv. Love it.
Barca's season is up and running. Save! Spain are the champions of the world!
Sports Break on Dominion TV.
In times of change, when the world seems uncertain and what we hear doesn't reflect what we see, we seek the truth. When we are told only part of the story, we lose trust. In moments of crisis, our dreams, hopes, and wishes for a better tomorrow depends on a free press. At Voice of America, we bring you the stories that people take risks to see. We connect the world and unite it with truth. At Voice of America, we show you the whole picture.
Africa 54 in partnership with Voice of America. Weekdays, 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. on Dominion TV.
We just go around just making statements that are not even biblical. God reveals to redeem. It's not in the Bible. God reveals so we can war, so we can enforce the word of God and the scriptures over the enemy's intent. Any hope and expectation the enemy has concerning your family and your loved one, by the eternal blood of Jesus, we override that hope. We override that expectation. Put your hands together and override it.
The Voice of Inspiration, weekdays and Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. only on Dominion TV.
Welcome back. Thank you very much for your time. This is the news review segment. This is where we get to share with you details of the news making headlines, and we are excited that you can join us as always. Of course, our very first guest joins us, Reverend Xavier Demoji, who is a clinical engineer, who is also an assistant pastor with the Action Chapel International, Teshi here in Accra. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, good morning.
Absolutely. Also joining us via Zoom will be Reverend Bafoboni, Nanaya Bafoboni, who is with the Eagles Network International Ministries, and also an architect and a builder by profession. He gets to join us and we get to have conversations on the news, making headlines, especially here in Ghana, on the local scene. Let's start off with the very first one. This one has to do with, okay, so there's news reaching us, a very sad one. Yesterday, a third-year computer science student of the Accra Technical University was reportedly killed in a hit-and-run accident whilst en route to an examination center. The deceased, a female student, has been identified as Bethel and an active fellow at the computer science department. This is a sad event. This is one of those many that keeps happening. Last week or so, we also heard of the two Achimotans who went for their homecoming and their anniversary, and still happened. Gives you it paints a certain picture of what goes through the mind of the drivers, one, two. Also, the law enforcement bodies, after the aftermath of the event, what happens when they get there, how frustrating it can be, whether or not they are reasonable when they listen to you, for which you can hit and want to run. Because I do not understand, because sometimes probably when you hit, your timely intervention of rushing the person to the hospital could have saved. But probably, just probably, there's something that runs through the minds of these drivers for which they want to run after the hit.
Well, it's a sad event that have occurred. It looks like it's something that is happening now, and as you rightly said, it points down to what happens when such incidents happen. I think it's a result of the panic and the fear, In most communities, when you end up hitting someone, if you're not careful, you end up being beaten. And
yes.
A lot of people, out of fear and panic, decide to run for their lives. And I think that is very barbaric. And I don't think that hitting a fellow human being and you see someone that you've just hit that could be assisted by yourself, and seeing the person in that mood, and you could gather the courage out of fear and just leave the person motionless, helpless, and run for your life. And I think that is wickedness to me. But it all comes out of education that drivers are related to. When some of these incidents happened, I think there should be much education on it. And the public also should be educated. You don't just end up attacking a driver or any
mob justice. That's a good point.
Any issue. There are some communities, for instance, some place like Ashaman, if you do a mistake and you hit someone, you will instantly be disciplined. And you will see that there are a lot of people on the road. Some of the communities, there is a lot of people who don't even respect road regulations. And these things are becoming unbecoming. So I think even though the driver didn't do well, there should be much education to educate the public on some of these actions. Secondly, I think the CCTV camera also should pick the driver that have done that. And I don't think any driver should do that. It is very bad. It's very bad. My condolences to the family.
Yes.
To lose a computer scientist student, 3rd year. Oh, that is very sad.
Yes.
Very sad.
I think the mob justice thing must be drummed home, and people must understand that you cannot take the law into your own hands. It does not. It means we have killed 2 people inadvertently. You look, the person was hit, and then the driver that you were going to, and you yourself will also be in trouble. So allow for the right thing to be done, please. This is by way of public education. I don't know who is watching us today, but when you are at the scene where people want to mob this particular driver of whatever accident it is after hitting someone, please make sure that the first approach is for the person to take the person to the hospital. If he's not in the right frame of mind, he be sent to the police station. So the driver must be sent to the police station. But if he can still take the victim, the accident victim to the hospital, he could do that. And so this by way of education. Let's go to the next story for today. Reverend Kusi Boateng dismisses reports of his arrest, denies allegations of misusing cathedral fans. Reverend Boateng addressed his congregation in a video that we saw during a church service on Friday, denying remorse that he's been arrested. This is what and had absconded. This is what he said, and I quote: "They say I'm running away. Who am I running away from? I'm a law-abiding citizen. I've not stolen anything from anyone. If you hear rumors of my arrest, just drink water and sleep. I'm standing here before you. Perhaps it's my ghost that has been arrested. What is this world we are living in? Pastors are lying, church members are lying, social media is full of lies. Joy News is lying, Ghana Web is lying, City News is lying. What is this? I will not do anything to bring shame upon you. We are in a better year. Grace has been activated. And no matter what the devil does, I know that where God wants to take us, he will. I've not done anything to warrant an arrest. Nobody can arrest me because I've not done anything for me to be arrested. And I will say this on Sunday. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't care who you are." Are you careful to touch on this?
Well, this is an issue that is very sensitive, when it comes to issues with Reverend Kusi Boateng.
Why?
It's not an issue of being careful, but, over the years, this is a man that has impacted generations over the years, and a lot of pastors, not locally but internationally, look up to him for inspiration. It's rather unfortunate that in the past years he has been in the news for the negative reason, and it's rather unfortunate some of these things are happening. But it's also very important that Ghanaians and Christians also have a clear mind on whatever is happening, because when you are a pastor, a reverend, people really look up to you to live up to expectations, have how will I say it, right moral attitudes towards how things are being done. So when it comes to the issue of our prophet Kusi Boateng, a lot of people have raised a lot of issues. A lot of people are saying that he has absconded and all sort of things, and it's unfortunate that issues like this have come up. For him to be a trustee of the National Cathedral, this is of a national interest, and all Christians are looking up to how the case will go. A lot of people are lambasting all the trustees and all sort of things, and there is still doubt in the mind of a lot of Ghanaians as to what really happened, because when you look at the amount involved, it's quite funny, and any reasonable Ghanaian will raise questions that what really happened. So when people are asking him questions like this, I think there was a case that Strach also declared that there was an issue of corruption against him, and a lot of people are still not clear in it. That is why Ken Oforiatta issues is all over. So I think justice must have its course, whether you are a pope or a bishop, whatever it is, right things must be done. State funds shouldn't be used for personal gains. There have been a lot of corruption of procurement, bridges, and divestiture of funds, and people are having all sort of minds. So for him to come out clearly to assure this congregation that he's not involved in such acts, I think it's good. You have to, when people are saying something about you, you are giving the benefit of the doubt to make a statement and to let the public know what your stand is. If he was wrong, I think it should be fair enough to led the congregation that, oh, I mixed it, I didn't do well, and this, and those who can pardon him. But here's the case, he's taking his bold stand that he wasn't involved in any act of corruption. So we all look up to how things will go, and we should expect, I think justice should have its way. To me, justice should have its way. And the Christian body should also, it's not just about Kusibuatin, because this issue that we are talking about, it goes beyond him as a personality. Because a lot of people are also using this to tag pastors, prophets, that we do all sort of things that are not good. And I think this issue should come out to the public. The public should have a clear mind about it, so that no one will stand somewhere and say, oh, pastors are like this, prophets are like this, we've done this. And anytime issues of pastors come in, it's not just about the pastors, but a lot of people lose faith in God.
I see. Reverend Anaya Bafoboni has joined us via Zoom. Thank you very much for your time, and good morning indeed. Now, are you sure? I'm very careful, but I don't know why. When it gets to probably the men of God, I have to be careful, because I get to share my thoughts on every other. And so, are you sure that if not for his obvious affiliation with the past government and, of course, the party, he would not have been in jail, especially with the issues of double identity, not necessarily National Cathedral issues where we've not seen the full investigation unravel, but the issue of double identity and the proof thereof. Reverend Anaya Bafoboni.
Unfortunately, I can't hear you at all. It's extremely faint.
I don't know whether it's us.
I can't hear anything, but I'll try and respond to the best of my ability. Especially I want to greet all our viewers and my dear brother, Reverend Sylvia as well. Can you hear me, Koko?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right, so I want to specially greet you. I hope you had a restful weekend. And I also want to greet all our viewers and then Reverend Sylvia Semoji as well.
Yeah.
I miss him so much. I've not been in person with him in the studio for a while now. Let me start with the issue of the hit and run situation. You know, I think that the National Road Safety Commission under the Ministry of Roads Transport should really team up with the NCC and go into overdrive when it comes to education on these matters. Because like Reverend Xavier said, many communities are noted for meting out instant justice if you stop after hitting someone. I don't know the case now in the Nungwa areas, but I remember when I was young, it was one area you dare not hit someone because there'll be mob justice and you will not live to tell your story. But in those areas, whenever someone knocked a person, a pedestrian, they would always rush into the police station themselves and go and report because they are safer with the police than with the larger society. And I think that it happened with my own Akura fellow Achimota, and I think in the past week, and it's unfortunate that it's happening again. And so we must step up education. And I also think that our emergency services should really be up and doing this thing where it takes forever for somebody to pick up a 911 call. It takes forever for an ambulance to be ready, and sometimes they're even asking for fuel. See, these things, we don't see them in the public. It's like, oh, it's a free service. It's not a free service. It's free on paper, but oftentimes they'll tell, we don't have fuel. Are you sure wherever you're asking us to take the person, have you made arrangements for them to have a bed? Because if we get, these things I'm saying, people I know it has happened. If we get them, they say there's no bed, we would just leave the person, we will toss the person off the stretcher and leave them. You know, and it's like they are threatening you. And it's very unprofessional. And I think that we have to step up our ambulance service, our emergency service in our various hospitals, and so on. Now to the issue of the National Cathedral, I am always treading cautiously. And like you rightly said, in our private engagements, I'm always treading very cautiously because, you see, when people sit on a board, they do not contribute to the day-to-day running of the organization of which they sit or whose board they sit. So we ought to tread very cautiously because if we have not been able to establish clear culpability, it becomes difficult for us to even assume that if it was not associated with the past government, he would have been in jail because the issues are not clear. Mind you, a board is not a spending authority. So if there have been monies that have been spent by the National Cathedral Secretariat on the project, definitely he is not an authorizing and spending personality. So it will be very difficult to say that he has spent money or taken money, unless there was a total breach when it comes to, how procurement and expenditure was sorted out at the National Cathedral level. I think I've heard Reverend Mrs. Joyce bring some clarity to it, that even there have been times where some of them have had to put in their own personal funds and all that and gotten reimbursed later. And I think that was the case that Reverend Kusi Boateng had raised when it came to his issue. I believe the issues must be interrogated thoroughly. It must be investigated thoroughly. It must be looked at without fear or favor. And if anything has gone wrong, then definitely whoever has been involved in that wrongdoing should be taken up. What I suspect, the allegation I suspect I've heard about, which perhaps there may be some culpability, is procurement breaches, where I think issues of conflict of interest was raised, where certain aspects of the works might have been undertaken by companies owned by him or of which he had directorship. And for that, absolutely, there's a conflict of interest issue. And with that, it does not, the buck will not stop with only him. It will also have to rope in those who knew of his involvement in those companies and still through the procurement process granted contracts or subcontracts in that sense of the word. But I feel that if it has to do with they helping out and getting reimbursed, I do not see any criminality from that perspective. But if there are procurement breaches, i.e. how contracts were awarded, and if conflict of interest issues arise, definitely they must be dealt with. If you remember the story of the former chief executive of the National Procurement Authority, who had formed so many companies and was awarding some of these contracts to his own companies along the way. I think Manasseh Azuri was the one who did that intelligence work, and the publication came out. So I think that we should tread cautiously and we should patiently interrogate it. Why do I say this? I say this because many of our supposed apostolic fathers were on the board. And so if we are going to pick and choose who is prosecuted on that board, it will send a wrong signal, as though these people belong to the current administration, so they've been left off the hook, and this other person has affiliation with the past administration, therefore is being prosecuted. So we have to interrogate the matters and make sure that whatever the issues are for which somebody may be prosecuted are very clear and very well spelled out, so that it is delineated from and delinked from the board and its duties, because a board does not spend. A board is not a spending authority. A board is not a procurement authority. So if his misconduct, supposedly, if established, is independent of his duties on the board and his cases of conflict of interest, etc., we should be very clear in articulating that, so that it doesn't look like there's been a bias and some members of the board have been left off the hook. Because some have said some people resigned from the board early because of, the reason why they resigned was not that. Some of the pastors who resigned, they resigned because they were not having their way, and some of the people on the board were not allowing them to run everybody underfoot. So it was an issue of our normal human relationship conflict and disagreements. And then, of course, if you look at other senior members who resigned much later, when some of the finances of the project was published, they were aghast because they were on the board dealing with issues that don't have to do with spending. So you see that even our own Archbishop, Reverend Eastwood, Anaba, and the rest, they said they were a little surprised at the kind of expenditures and figures that were being thrown out, and they all want to step down. And they even insisted that there must be a thorough audit done on the project. So as you can see, even from their letters of resignation and how they expressed themselves, you see that they were blindsided when it came to the area of expenditure, because that is not their duty. The board exercises oversight over the secretariat and then advises on how things ought to be done regarding the project. In fact, many of them were involved in more doing fundraising and getting their local congregations to bring money on board and ideas on board to get this done. But proper execution, from what I understand, was from the Flagstaff House, the Minister of Finance, Ken Oforiatta himself, and then the secretariat, those running the secretariat directly. They were, because the board did not choose the architect, for example. The architect was chosen before the board could have any powers The board did not choose who the contracts were awarded to. The consultants that were supposed to come in as what is it, the Bible Museum, blah, blah, from the US. All these things were coordinated by the Secretariat together with the government of the day. So the board really was using, the members on the board were using their clout to be able to mobilize the Christian community to stand firmly behind the project and to bring the necessary funding on board. But in terms of planning, execution, spending, to the best of my knowledge, I do not think the board was authorizing such things.
Well, I did not even focus on the issue of the national.
Unfortunately, it's still very faint, so I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me,
very,
Rev?
very, very faint.
Very, very faint. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, I was not even focusing really on the National Cathedral. I was looking at the issues of double identity, because then understanding is, until otherwise stated, where thorough investigations have been done into the case, nobody can tell. Indeed, it's one of the issues on the tables of the office of
you are speaking of the issue of dual identity.
Absolutely, nothing away from nothing
in
from
itself
the national.
is not really a criminal issue. Actually, the issue of the dual identity, many people do have that, especially when our wives marry us. So what you need to do is, number one, you need to swear an affidavit to indicate that you want to be known by this name going forward. And then subsequent to that, you need to indicate that all documents bearing your old name do hold valid. And then thirdly, you have to be clear on which particular identity you are. So for me, until we are able to establish the facts, did he swear an affidavit indicating which name by which he wants to be known? Because when you are using both identities at the same time, then criminality comes up.
Well, that
and it's, to me, it looks like the charge issue and the court issue have not been conclusive on that particular matter. If you look at the cases, it looks like one, I don't know whether it was charged, seems to be indicating that there is an issue of dual identity and there's a problem. And it looks like the court, I'm not sure which is which, but I think the court also was seemingly exonerating him on the matter. And I think there was a banter going on between himself and the Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa. I don't think the matter has been laid to rest. I think that it is still being pursued. And that for me is a matter of concern, not only because he's on the board, but I think that for a man of God, somebody who calls himself a man of God and a pastor, that is very dangerous. That is a very, very dangerous thing, because from the information that Honorable Ablakwa put out there, the person has 10 numbers for both names, which is very dangerous. He seems to have passports and travel documents for both names and seems to have driver's licenses for both names. And for me, that is very dangerous. He should have had an affidavit that is very clear on which particular name he wants to be known by. And for me, it's a big exposure on the laxity when it comes to some of these our institutions, because 10 numbers, driver's licenses, passports, etc., bio information is taken. So if really the bio information was taken and it is being stored in a proper retrieval system, immediately he puts his new bio for the new name, it will pop up that somebody has registered. It's the same with our voting. I mean, if your bio data is taken and somebody goes there, or you want to go and vote on another name, the machine will pick you out that person who has voted already at X polling station. So if we have not been able to do that, then I'm beginning to wonder how many more of such people are existing in our society who have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, even 10 passports, for instance, 7, 4, 5, 14 driver's licenses. Because you and I know that in the public space, there's always been this rumor without any clear evidence being provided that we have foreign nationals that are holding our passports, especially our Nigerian and Togolese brothers who bear similar names and have similar looks like us, and they're holding Ghanaian passports, and they are arrested, and they know it's so difficult to get out of their country, so they say they are coming from Ghana, and then they are brought here when they are deported so that they can work their way out. So I believe that for that particular matter, and I think that is totally devoid of the National Cathedral. It's a personal that must be dealt with, and that matter must not be allowed to rest, in all sincerity, especially because see, I don't know whether it was, I think it was Dr. Otabel, if not Papa Nick that I heard it from, said when a pastor starts to speak, people listen differently from a politician and from a classroom teacher and from a lecturer, because you hold an office of trust. So people let down their guard and open up to embrace what you are saying, whether it is true or not.
until otherwise proven because of that position of trust. So if really you are in your position of trust is being abused to present a figure that should not be trusted, we are treading very, very, very dangerously. And that matter must be dealt with the speed of light.
Righty. Well, let's go into some issues of galamsey or illegal mining. 6 excavators seized, 3 foreign nationals arrested for mining along River Enum. The Ashanti Region Anti-Galamsey Task Force has seized 6 excavators deployed in illegal mining operations along River Enum in the Bosome Freho district of the Ashanti region. 3 nationals, foreign nationals, including a Chinese, Indian, and Burkinabe, were arrested in the operation to read about 5 tributaries of the river, illegal miners. The Joint Task Force is part of the Ashanti Regional Security Council's efforts to end galamsey in the region. The task force includes personnel from the Ghana Police, Environmental Protection Authority, Minerals Commission, and Ghana Immigration Service. It continues unabatedly. It does.
Well, Gugu, is the issue of galamsey it's always an issue that has come up, I think last year up to now. Almost every day there is an issue of illegal miners plaguing a forest reserve or doing something else. And it's becoming alarming. And I'm excited at least there's a task force that has been put in place going around to arrest the perpetrators of this crime. Looking at all those that are involved, the EPA, the police, I think it's a good team that has been put up, and I think they should be encouraged. My emphasis is that some of these things are being put in place, but long intent, within some short period of time, the activities are halted and the perpetrators of the crime still come on. But my main concern is, the question is, why is this thing becoming so rampant? You see, apart from the devastating effect of galamsey, the question is, the truth is that Ghana is blessed. You see, we are blessed with so much resources of gold. And I'm worried because it's like we are not able to manage our own resources. Because when you look at the Chinese, the Indians, the Burkinabes that are coming in, they come with this notion that there is gold in Ghana. And we don't have the logistic, we don't have the resources to manage this. The question is, for instance, if, I have a 10 million property, and out of investigation, they realize that below that property is 100 million gold. You know, how do we address them? The truth of the issue is that there is gold in Ghana, and we don't have the logistic to manage it. I think the money that we can generate from this gold can take care of a lot of infrastructures.
And I think that you and I know the root. Too many politicians are involved. Too many financiers or political parties are involved. So the politician is very conflicted even in dealing with these things. In fact, the rumor around town is that this clamping down going on, they are actually catching MPP illegal miners and MPP financiers, because the NDC guys feel that it's also their turn to explore. And I think that it's a very sad thing. And for me, I applaud the president for the gold board thing, which has a bit of the concept of the Ejapa thing, where there's now a board that is going to regulate the buying of all gold in Ghana and the sale of it. What it will do is that it will compel even those so-called illegals to know that they can't trade outside the borders of Ghana, because when we see your gold out there, we are going to find out whether you have been certified and you are doing so through gold board. Of course, with the laxity in the system, there'll be a black market, things will be going, but by and large, it's going to really contain the situation a bit more, and then the illegal guys, I'm sure, will start to regularize their activity. But kudos to the minister. Sometimes there's so much work to be done that when we talk a little success, we don't celebrate, but we should celebrate the little successes on our journey to complete eradication. I am of the view that it can be reduced to barest minimum, but I know you are of the view that it can be removed completely. And I don't know, but I'm sure, Koku, you need to visit my dear friend Omanebo and some of the ministers, maybe lands and mineral resources guys, and give them your ideas. And I'm sure that we can get to the bottom. You'll be very surprised. The reason why they don't take it is that they'll be politically conflicted. That's the challenge. That's why I keep saying, unless we have somebody who just says, I'm throwing caution to the wind, no holds barred, I don't care, I'm going all out for Ghana. If I lose the election, I'm assassinated, blah, 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 I don't care. Then we can see, and it's not just with Galamsey, all of Africa's problems hinge on that. You look at what is happening in Burkina Faso. If it were not the kind of system they were running, he can't do many of the things he's doing. And you and I know, like has happened with other African leaders, that man's life could easily be terminated at the slightest opportunity they get. Because once you stand up to the new colonialists and those who are pulling the puppet strings, you become a target for elimination. Right. So let's appreciate our guys for what they've been able to do, and let's hope that it gets better.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. And that's Reverend Anaya Obafo-Boni. He's an architect and a builder, and also pastors the Eagles Network International Ministries. Also here in the studios, Reverend Xavier Damoji is a clinical engineer with Elekma Hospital, and also an assistant pastor with the Action Chapel International. Teshi, grateful indeed for your time. Wish you all the best. The Trust Hospital is proud to be associated with the Wake Up Africa. We're talking about the Bank Hospital, indeed. Of course, your trusted core partner for quality healthcare. You want to call them on 0302739373, and of course they're also located at cantonments here in Accra, just close to NAFTI, and so you can just call on them and make sure wherever you are in the world to book an appointment and to get to meet them. That is where most of the best medical practitioners are. Also, what I'm wearing today is from Kelkies. You can have immeasurable, discounts on clothes such as this. All you need to do is to contact them, Kelkies Collect, on social media, especially on Instagram. You can connect with them today and make sure you get the best of the best as well. There's also our decor, the beautiful decor that we have in the studios today from D-Decor. You can also connect with them via, if you like, socials, and make sure that whatever events you have, they approach you and make sure that weddings, engagements, baby christening, birthdays, housewarming, gifts, engagements, wrapping, and all of that, bouquets and floral arrangements and funerals, all of them are D-Decor planners. If you need them, the numbers are on the screen. You can call them today or WhatsApp them. They'll be at your beck and call. Thank you very much indeed for the news review. Take a break. When we come back, there's more. Stay with us.
It's a daily necessity for daily triumph.
Africa, we must unite. We are getting Abrahamic rewards, but we are running away from Abrahamic responsibilities.
Where should Africa sit and stand in this new world order?
Africa has the youngest, fastest growing population. That's a blessing, but it's also a challenge.
Yeah.
Who did God describe as the man after his own heart?
David.
Adam.
My experience, nothing short of amazing.
I never believed I'll be able to do this. Dominion TV's Emerging Leaders program has taught me skills about marketing in a corporate setting.
My name is Danny Glover, and you're watching
Dominion TV.
So welcome back. I know you enjoyed that conversation with Koku. I wanted to say Koku and his team. It's a formidable force. Yeah, right. So we're getting into a quick conversation about appreciation. Now, lots of people have done so many things in the world, and people don't know about them. Some of them have impacted lives. Some people want to be seen, others don't even care about it. All they want is to go about their ministry or their God-given job and to affect the lives of other people. Now, one thing is that whatever you do today affects you, the next generation, and the next generation after that. Bible says in Romans 12, I'm going to read it, Romans 12:10, it says, be kindly affectionate to one another with brotherly love in honor, giving preference to one another. So today we're going to be talking about an award scheme or award program where people who have championed certain causes and held the torch, opened doors for other people would be appreciated. And it's called the National Youth Shakers Conclave and Awards Ghana Edition 2025. Now, to give us insight on what this whole thing is about, we have in studio lawyer George Aqua. He's here to tell us what this whole award system is all about. Good morning, lawyer. I like your smile. Yes, it's good to have you. So, National Youth Shakers. Why do we have to award people? I mean, people are just living there. It's their ministry, it's their lives. What's the point in awarding them anyway?
Thank you. So I'm from RAIN Foundations.
Okay.
RAIN Foundations is Relevant Achievers Impacting Nations. So it's a ministry started by author Ralph Entry, or actually called Raphael Entry. But then because he's an author, he's popularly called Raphael, author Ralph. And over the years, we've been doing ministry, normal ministry calling. But then for some time now, God is moving us into the sphere of honoring people. And the whole idea is to identify people and then learn from them. So now, if they depart, we can have their legacy and then to appreciate them and then so that also they can have a good succession plan. So that answers the question, why honor people? Because it's not easy to be successful in life. So the path to success, it's not a straight route. It involves lots of ups and downs.
Yeah.
But once you get to know people and then you learn from them, you really appreciate how God invested in them and then the path they chose before they become successful. So from that, then you learn from them, then you can impact generations. So that's why we need to honor people and then appreciate them.
Okay. Now, if you're talking about honor and life, things that people have done, I'm thinking these people are older than the youth. So where does the youth come in? Youth shakers
The
coming.
central theme is on the impact on the youth. So either youth, actually, young people who have impacted the youth or doing something about the youth, or older people who have impacted the youth.
Okay.
So in that sense, many people are qualified for to receive awards for this Youth Shakers Conclave.
That's beautiful. Take me through the categories. What are we looking at?
So we are looking at various categories: health, education, agriculture, humanitarian, and human rights, gender rights. So we didn't make it only few category based, but lots of categories, as much as anyone is having an impact on the youth.
I see. That's beautiful. How do you find these people? How do you get them? How do you know their work is authentic? What's your process of vetting them to know that, oh, they deserve this? Some of them might just come up as a fluke.
So we have a vetting team, and then we try to fish out for such people.
Okay.
So
first off, I like your voice, but you're going to have to speak up a little
louder.
bit.
So we try to fish out for people. So apart from others who are aggressive outside on social media, or let's say on the national scene or international scene that we can easily pick up, we have people actually who go out there, try to talk to people to find out about others who've had various impacts in life. So either through an NGO, through an organization, or any small way that people are doing to impact the youth. It could have been maybe a teacher. This year, we're looking at honoring lots of teachers because they feel unappreciated. Since the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah, for instance, teachers' salaries have been in limbo. It's become a profession that is like, if you don't have what it takes in life, or once I couldn't get what I want to do, then let me settle for a teacher. So we're looking at them, but then not all teachers, but then people who've really made an impact, and people who are really helping, if it's not girl children, but then also, let's say, scholarship schemes, assisting people, encouraging them in various communities where, let's say, you don't find the government there so often. So our vetting team looks at people, talk to people, go out there on social media, and then also in the international space. And then when we touch base with them, we try to look at their works. Some send out videos, some pictures, some actual works. Some have already received awards before, And then we try to see whether have they had an impact on the youth, and what has the impact been like, and is it really worth it for us to learn from them, And then now we take it from there.
And we take a plug and that's it?
No. So apart from the plug, the theme is appreciation, succession, and then legacy. So now we need to learn from you, and then we need to appreciate you, and then you need to have a succession plan. So the program is going to have networking opportunities, and then Rain Foundation is also, we have a book writing enclave.
Right.
So the book writing enclave, because Author Ralph is an author, he is author of over 66 books.
Not the Bible, though.
Yes, not the Bible.
That's great.
Yes. So over the years, we've been having prestigious annual predecessors awards where we honor not only those in the youth, but people who've made an impact in life. As part of the awards, we write books for them. So that in the book, we'll chronicle your life achievements, who you are, how God brought you up, and then also it will highlight your good succession plan for people to learn from. So we learn from your foundation as well. So with this youth awards, because Rain Foundation is a book writing enclave, we will be interested in you, and then we'll call up onto the people. We'll make a call that, well, because you need to have a good legacy, you can possibly join our book writing enclave so that the whole world will know about you. Wow. So that's a good opportunity for yourself to be known. So that it's not ordinary plaques, but we have the plaque also to be given. We have medals will be given out to people, and then we have certificates also to be given out to people. Then, as part of the awards too, we have the important personalities like the World Conference of Mayors, the founder who is coming down.
Okay.
So it's also a good network opportunity for the awardees now to showcase their products, to network, and then also like a stepping stone platform for them to move higher in terms of their calling, how they are impacting the youth. So it becomes more than just a plaque, receiving a plaque or
That's
a medal.
beautiful. That's beautiful. I love it. I really, really do love it. So let's talk about this year's nomination and then awards ceremony.
So the ceremony will be held on 29th March.
Okay.
So because of the large numbers of people, because each awardee is allowed to bring 9 people, so together there will be 10 people. So it means for one table we'll have like one awardee and his people, 10. So lots of people will be coming. So we've split into two. There'll be the morning session, that'll be 9 a.m. 29th, and then the evening session 6 p.m. So the morning session will have to come with a breakfast, and then the actual conference, and then the awards, and then the evening session 6 p.m. also there'll be a banquet, then the conference and the awards.
I see. Banquet. Okay, that means there'll be food out there.
There'll be food. Free
if there'll be food, I will be there.
Good food. Yes, that's right.
Free and good food.
That's right.
All right, let's talk about the speakers. Okay, I see Arthur Entry over there. Who are the other people? The white man looks like Einstein.
Abubakar. Yes, becoming. So he is the founder of Lagos Streamer Foundation.
Right.
Very deep in the word. He will talk to us. He has a lot of insights about business and then the youth and then how to make it as a leader. So you talk about leadership, you talk about businesses. Arthur Ralph is the founder of Rain Foundations. He's the visionary of the whole program.
Okay.
He will also be there, of course.
That's great.
Then we have, Nadine Lowe. He's the president of the Eagles Dream Vacation Club in Bahamas. She will also be speaking. Then we have Dr. Melissa Hall from the Bahamas. She will also be speaking on that day. Then, as you said, Professor George Einstein is.
See, he looks like him.
He's actually a cousin of Albert Einstein.
Oh, beautiful.
So he's one of our good patrons for Rain Foundations, and he's also really now part of us in all our major events. Then we have Dr. Willie Sneed III. He's a famous American football star.
Yeah.
And he also has a lot of programs. He has a youth ministry, so he'll be coming down from the U.S. also to help us. Then His Excellency Johnny Ford, he's the founder of the World Conference of Mayors. These are of mayors from different countries. They all come together. He's also coming down to represent the conference of mayors. And then also we have Mayor Jimmy Gardner, currently the president of the World Conference of Mayors. He's the mayor for Alabama, Pritchard. He's also becoming. So these important personalities will really be a good opportunity for the youth awardees to network.
Okay. So who can attend this program?
Anyone. So it's open to the public. Apart from the awardees, those receiving the awards and their relatives and friends they are bringing, now anyone is invited. Anyone at all can come. And it comes and then come and also come and network and come and meet. Because some people also have visions of having a business, being a leader, or also impacting the youth. When they hear stories like this, it impacts on them, and then positively it also gingers them up to start what they want to do. So everyone is invited.
All right, so everyone is invited.
Yes.
On 29th
March.
And then it will be at La Palme.
The Palms Conference Center.
Palms Conference Center.
At La Palms Royal Beach.
Palms Royal Beach.
Now the early registration is 600 cedis. Because of logistics, you're organizing a banquet, there's medals, there's awards itself and certificates, and the networking opportunities. So it's subsidized for 600 cedis. If you can make that before 21st March.
That's great.
After 21st March, then now registration may be quite difficult for us. So now we've pegged it at 1,000 cedis. So try to register early, and then you benefit from everything part of the program. So the awardees, there's the same thing. They all pay 600 cedis for the program, together with their people coming. If they can pay before March 21st, but after 21st, it's going to be 1,000 cedis. So the public is also open to them. They can all come and then do the early bird registration so that we can give you a code, and then we know your seating arrangements and all that will be confirmed to you.
Nice. Great. So you heard the good lawyer. You're coming. You have to be there and hear other people's stories. You think that probably your world is in your area or where you live. You never know. Other people are making impacts, and you need to hear their stories. You need to be there. You need to be a shaker starting with the youth, right? So if you're somebody who, or somebody who have impacted the world of youth, young people, whatever it is, just introduce this program to them and let them be there. Let's take your last words and then we can go.
So I'm inviting everyone, the whole public, come 29th March. There are 2 sessions. If you can't make it for the morning session, come for the evening session. Network with people, and then also you see Arthur Ralph, author of over 66 books. Maybe you may also want to know how to write or publish your book, come around. So it's not only networking, but also opening up of various opportunities and meeting various people that will help you achieve various visions that you want to achieve as a leader.
Great. All right. So thank you very much, Lawyer George Aqua. We will be there 29th March to meet people, hear the stories, and also help write our own stories. Up next is a conversation about personal branding, necessary for today, right? Counselor Jacqueline is fired up to teach us what it is that we need to know about branding. Don't want to go anywhere? We'll be back.
Every morning begins with you, your routine, your goals, your journey. Get ready for the day with us by your side. This is Wake Up Africa, your inspirational morning ride. We bring you the energy you need, the insight, and the motivation to kickstart your day. Wake Up Africa is here to connect you to the latest news, your front row seat to all the sports action. Get moving with us for a healthier you. Wake Up Africa gives you daily forecast, keeping you prepared for whatever comes your way. Join us each morning as we start your day together.
My name is Kokulumo, and welcome to Wake Up Africa.
Step up with DStv and we'll show up by giving you more incredible entertainment.
We're going to have a little fun.
Upgrade your subscription between the 13th of January and the 31st of March and get an even higher package for a whole month on us.
Buckle up, here we go.
There's nothing better than putting a little bit in but getting a lot out.
Time to boost some office morale.
Incredible!
When you want to build a future, you gotta know what you want.
Step up and we'll show up on your home of entertainment, DStv.
Barca's season is up and running. Save! Spain are the champions of the world!
Sports Break on Dominion TV.
Okay, welcome back. Let's get on with the conversation that has to do with you in today's time. Now, what do you know about personal branding? When we want to describe you, how do we say it? Do we say, that lady that chews gum and like half of it is falling off? Or somebody who can actually represent your own brand. People are into businesses, people are entrepreneurs. They know how to keep their business going, but they don't know that they are the face of the business. And when you show up, your business shows up. So today we want to get into personal branding, what to know and how to go about it. And the lady in red, I don't know if you remember Love Doctor series. She was here in a very pretty red dress. I think Counselor Jacqueline has a thing for red. Right? Well, good morning, Lady in Red.
Good morning.
How are we?
I'm doing well, yourself?
I'm great. And you're keeping that smile. It's not a gaslighting smile. Right. Personal branding. First off, branding, if you're a business person or you went to secondary school or something, companies need branding, right? Well, why then do we need branding as individuals?
Branding is really very important in an individual's life because branding is the whole you as an individual. It is how you are creating a unique and a memorable identity of yourself. It's very important that you brand yourself in that manner. How you want the world to perceive you. That has everything to do with personal branding. That is why it is important to create a personal brand for yourself. It describes you, the individual, your identity.
I see. We're in a world where people have identity crisis, right? People want to model their lives after people who probably don't even care about them or don't even know them. And women especially will spend a fortune to look a certain way, something they cannot sustain. Where's that going? What's that achieving? Is that how personal branding should be?
Okay, so personal branding has a thing to do with being true to yourself.
Right.
Because it is an ongoing thing that you need to consistently keep doing. Now, if you live a fake life, trying to prove to other people who you are, trying to make them look at you in a certain way, can you maintain that kind of lifestyle for, say, the next 5 to 10 years? That's the question that you need to ask yourself as an individual, because it needs to be a consistent effort that you're putting in yourself to bring yourself out there for people to know who you are and what you stand for. So you need to be true to your identity. Who are you? What are your values? Who are you doing it for? Are you doing it to please others, or you are doing it to stay true to yourself and to stay true to your core values? That is the question that you need to ask yourself. So it is very important that you stay true to yourself and not try to compare your growth or your journey to other people, because if you do that, it will force you to live a fake life that you cannot consistently maintain.
I see. So who should be concerned about personal branding?
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to be concerned about personal branding because it creates a lot of opportunities for you.
That's it. I mean, I have a stall in the marketplace. What's personal branding to me? I mean, my shop is doing well. What's personal branding to me? How is it important to me?
It is very important to you because why are you doing that business? You want people to patronize your business. So you need to stand out all of the time. Fine, you might find yourself thriving in the space, but what's more? Have you considered the next 2 to 3 years of your business? Would it still remain where it is? You know, every day technology is around, things are moving on and on, so you need to also adjust to the process of life. So you can't remain in one place thinking that you're comfortable there. You should think about what's next. So your what's next is what is going to propel you to understand that I need to move from where I am, change the way I do things, just so that I can fit into the world space that we are in, because things keep evolving, so should you.
I see. So what should be the components of our branding? Okay, me. I want to start personal branding. What are the questions I should be asking myself? What are the things I should be doing to put myself in a good brand?
Okay, so the first important thing is to do self-reflection. So you, the individual, sit with yourself one day. Probably get a journal, write your strengths, what you're good at, your skills, your interests, your vision. Write them down in your journal. Now, when you look into the journal, you ask yourself, okay, these are the things that you have written down. These are your interests. These are your skills. These are your beliefs. These are your values. These are your visions.
Okay.
Now, when you go over the things that you have written, it helps you understand that, okay, these are my strengths, so I'm going to move a step from here. So you pick each of them day by day and choose to work on each of them. So now you've identified that this is your strength, this is your interest. That is where you take the very first step.
Okay, and then after that?
So after you take the very first step, there are so many social media platforms that you can start your personal branding journey. Now, there is LinkedIn, there is Instagram, there is Facebook. Now, what do you want the world to perceive you as? Okay, you want to start a business. Okay, what do you want to be known for?
Right.
All of that was discovered during your self-reflection phase. So after you identify those things, you take the very first step. Create a page on LinkedIn. Who are you? Tell us who you are. Tell us what you are about. Tell us what you want us to know you for. And then consistently, every day you need to show up. Every day you need to show up one way or the other. You need to show up. How do you show up? By being consistent. It's just about the baby steps daily. Every day you take a step to wanting to build yourself one step further.
I see. Is it expensive to brand yourself?
Yes, it is. But you can start small.
How small? We hear girls come up. It's like, I started my business with 50 Ghana cedis and look at where I am. Small girl, big God. It's not true. Right?
Okay, so it is expensive, but like I said, you can start small. How do you start small? Social media. So you start, first of all, like I mentioned earlier, you create a page every day. So what topic do you want to talk about today, about your business? What particular thing do you want to share with us about your business? Probably you make cakes. You can share a recipe of how you made a vanilla cake today to your followers. And then you let your friends know about the business. Tell them to share whatever it is that you have put out there. That is how you start small. That is how you start small. So gradually, as you're getting the shares from time to time, you keep being consistent. That is how you're going to see progress. So you start small. Everything that you want to do about personal branding, if you're starting out fresh, you need to start small.
Right.
It is good that you are thinking big, but you are now starting out. So when you start small, it helps you understand that, okay, definitely you're going to arrive at your expected end through consistency.
There must be some challenges. Have you had personal experience where, I mean, in your branding, journey, you've had some challenges, and how did you overcome them?
Yes, I have had challenges because when you're starting out, you go on LinkedIn, for example, you scroll through people's pages, you see so many likes, so many shares. You're like, wow, when are you going to get there? So when I was starting my journey, that was one challenge that I faced. I almost wanted to, okay, how am I going to get these amounts of shares, these amounts of followers in such a short space of time? And then I reminded myself, how I overcame that situation was reminding myself that I'm now starting. So I need to show myself some self-compassion in that moment. Start small, daily steps, being consistent is what kept me going. So that is what I want to encourage everyone to do, to start small. Because if you start comparing your journey to somebody who started probably 20 years before you did, you're going to be frustrated. You're going to self-doubt yourself that you're never going to get there. But the same people that you are inspired by, the same people that motivate you, started small. They had challenges as well. They overcame the challenges. So you can too.
Right. When I heard personal branding, first thing that came to mind was wardrobe. I mean, basically because of what I do, I need to show up a certain way and all of that, because when I show up, I'm giving off a certain brand. So I'm also thinking that maybe somebody who is in engineering would be more concerned about maybe techniques or stuff like that, right? How are you able to find what should matter in your branding so that you are not veering off and just living the life of every other person?
Okay. So through consistent learning, you know that you are good in this field. You know that these are your interests. So you can take short courses in those fields.
How? Do we have to go? Which courses?
There are so many free online courses on online. You can find them on YouTube. And most importantly, you can also choose to pay for paid courses as well. But for an individual who finds it difficult to, okay, I don't have money to pay for this course, there are so many free online courses in every field that you can learn a thing or two from. So you need to be very keen on that area. Consistent learning. Consistent learning. So as you're learning, you are discovering new things on what you're learning. Okay, this is the field that I'm in. I've been told that in this field, how I can thrive is by doing A, B, C. I can start by doing this. I can show up by doing this. I can sell by doing this. Now, when you identify all of those things, it helps you also discover techniques such as, okay, I was told in this course that this is how I can strategize. This is how I can get serious with my brand so that my brand can move forward. So through consistent learning, you would be able to identify what matters to your brand and what other people in your field are also doing, just so that you can brand yourself in a way that you can be unique from the others. Because a lot of people may be in the same field that you are in, but why should yours stand out? What makes you stand out unique as an individual is what you need to focus on, because you want to be identified as unique in your field.
I see. We see a lot of successful people, heard a lot of success stories, how these people do it. What are some of the key habits that, some of us who are starting out should start looking out for?
Okay. So you should have values as an individual. Have values. What do you believe in? So those are questions you need to ask yourself. What do you believe in as an individual? What is something that you decide that these are things I'm going to stay away from, and these are things that I'm going to stay focused on? Because
practically, give me a practical example now.
So, for example, in your business, you've decided that this is the area that you want to thread on. These are the things that you want to believe in. Now you are presented with another opportunity that requires that you veer off your beliefs, your values, because it has probably promised you a huge sum of money. Now you know that these are dubious means in getting there. So as an individual, knowing your beliefs and your values, you choose to stay true to yourself by not going that shortcut route that is promising you a huge sum of money.
But it's the money that we need.
Yes, it is the money that you need. But what you need to position your mind towards is that, okay, this is an opportunity that has presented itself. It gives you a shortcut in getting it. What do shortcuts do for us? Sometimes it makes us crash.
Right.
It makes us crash. So you need to stay true to your beliefs and your core values. That is what is going to take you far. Because sometimes going the shortcuts might seem interesting. Let me do it because it's for the money. I'm going to get rich. I'm going to get money. But what are your beliefs? These are things you want to be known for. If you want your brand to be well known, to get to the certain level where people trust your words.
Right.
They trust your words. They trust whatever it is that you are producing. That is what you need to stay focused on and not the shortcut route.
I see. Where does branding end for an individual?
Branding never ends.
It doesn't?
Nope. It's a continuous thing. You do it every single day. Personal branding, it doesn't end. It's a continuous thing. So every day you're improving on yourself one way or the other. Every day you're taking a step. Every day you're taking, it's for example, just as we get up every day, we go to work, we know we have something to do. That is how we need to carry ourselves as individuals, like our personal brand. Every day you need to do something about your personal brand. So it never ends. It's a continuous thing.
I see. I'm thinking that should go for entrepreneurs and all of that. What about people who work 8 to 5 for somebody, someone else's organization? Where does branding fit in for them?
Branding fits in for them because what do you want to be known for? Do you just want to remain where you're working, or in the next 5 years you would want to, be in another bigger space, so what do you want to be known for? It starts today. So you might be working 9 to 5 and you feel like, okay, I'm comfortable here. What do I want to be known for? Think about the next few years, not about just your now. When you start thinking big, positioning your mind towards, okay, where do I go from here? Or where do I want to see myself in the next 5 years? Then you know that you need to do something about your personal brand, because it can speak for you in the next 2 years. Maybe not now, but in the next 2 years. But through your consistent steps, you'd realize that in the next 2 years, you wouldn't have to be rushing to, let me start building myself on LinkedIn. Let me start doing this. But if you start now, you realize that when you get there, things become easy because you started probably years before that.
Wow, that's great. So branding is not, first off, personal branding is not only for creatives, on social media. Now everybody's a content creator. It's not just for creatives. So if you have a job, you are somebody who goes to work from 8 to 5, you still need personal branding because you would not be there forever, right? So that means that you're prepping yourself for the next stage. That's what we're looking at. But where do we? I mean, if I'm thinking of maybe I'm a student, okay? We've seen for workers, we've seen for entrepreneurs. But this is a student who is in a certain environment, prepping to get into the world. It's a world full of, uncertainties. We're scared of mundane. How do we take personal branding from that state so that we don't suffer when we get into the world of business?
Right. It is very important for students as well, because even in that stage of your life, you're now getting into the outside world. So what I can recommend for students, for example, maybe they may be in senior high schools where phones may not be allowed. When they come on their vacations, they can start doing, internships in places, learning. Okay, they've identified in that stage of their lives what they want to become, the field of work they want to get into. So they should enter into internships. They should do internships from time to time, understanding themselves, and then during the internships, it helps them to learn in that field. They are learning, and they have phones when they come back from school. They can go online, I recommend LinkedIn. I highly recommend LinkedIn. You create a LinkedIn platform. You're a student. We clearly understand that. Now, when you create your platform, tell us who you are. What do you want to be known for? Because in senior high school, you've already identified what you want to start out with when you come out of school. So when you come out of school, you're engaging in internship, you're volunteering in events. So you should attend events, seminars in your field, and you build connections as you do that. You build connections, you network with people. Hello, I'm Jacqueline. This is what I do. I'm in the university, I'm this, I'm that. You network with people. That way, when you come out, you have at least a few contacts that you can call. You have a social media platform that you created on your school's break when you came home, so you're able to build yourself from there. So it's very important for students as well, because in that stage, when you start and you come out, things become a bit flexible for you.
Right. So we're preparing you for the business world. You're a student, you want to get into personal branding. You want to start with your values. You want to know what means what to you. You want to sit with yourself. It's something that we normally don't do. Ask yourself the right questions. What questions do we ask ourselves wrongly? I really want to know that, because normally we say that sit with yourself, ask yourself what means this, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, but what do we ask ourselves wrongly that affects our decisions?
So the questions we ask ourselves wrongly is, for example, how can I prove myself to others that this is who I am? Are you doing it to please other people?
Right.
Those are the wrong questions that we ask ourselves. We want to quickly become like our role models. You want to just quickly come out of school and become the next G-Body. You want to quickly come out of school and become the next Lucy Quist. How is that possible? You need to take daily steps. The important questions you should rather ask yourself, instead of comparing yourself to the people who started 20 years before you did, is to ask yourself, how can I start small?
Right. Right.
What are my interests and where can I start from? So after you've identified where you can start from, then you take the courses in your field of interest online. That is, if you can't immediately pay for the course. You start online, you study those courses, you study those areas. It broadens the scope of your understanding in that field. And every day you need to continuously keep encouraging yourself.
Right.
That is very, very important, because if you don't encourage yourself in your starting small phase, you're going to easily break down. Especially when you keep scrolling social media, you're going to break down because you see that this is your age mate. They are there and you are here. So you don't compare your growth or your process to anybody else. So as you're scrolling, don't feel jealous or envious of whoever is your age mate and has gotten there and you haven't. You are starting. Believe in yourself in that moment. In your self-reflection phase, believe in yourself. Do not compare your process to anyone. Take it slowly and take every step at a time.
My pastor would tell me, don't go borrowing money you don't have, to buy clothes you don't need, to please people who don't care about you. So stay true to yourself. We're teaching you to be true to yourself and present yourself to the world, as an authentic piece. Remember, you're a product. Remember, you're on a market every day. Now, another thing I realize is that some people feel branding necessarily, or maybe in its first stages, has to be in what's the name? In the socials, real quickly. Like, I'm starting to brand myself, yay, then I'm out there. But branding starts from places that we don't see, right?
Right.
Yeah. So if you're staying true to yourself, then why not? I think I love this conversation, right? Yeah. Thank you so much. But let me take your last words before we go. You can look straight into that camera and tell us.
Okay, so I want to encourage everyone who is starting their personal branding journey to take it easy on themselves, to have self-compassion for themselves. Every day, take a step at a time. Baby steps each day. Every day when you make that all-important step, it's a step towards your progress. It's a step towards your success. So be encouraged, believe in yourself, believe in your skills, believe in your vision. Because though you may not see how, big is going to look in the next 5 years, when you encourage yourself today, it's going to make the difference. So be encouraged that when you take the small baby steps, you're going to get to your expected end.
Right. Well, even God says he knows the plans that he has for you. So you don't know it. So why not just package yourself nicely so that when God throws you to the world, he knows that he has given the world a good product. Well, thank you so much to the Bank Hospital. We're really proud to be associated with the Bank Hospital. You know what to do there at Cantonment. You can just walk in and then you get your health checked. It's opposite NAFTI, right? And you can also check them on their socials. It's the Bank Hospital. And the Deco Planners, thank you for putting up this beautiful set. They are located at East Legona, Dringano, Enum Tessa Avenue, and also Kelly Keys, the clothing people. All right. Okay, so thank you so much, Councillor Tracy, the lady in red always. Hey, no, Councillor Jacqueline. Why do I say Councillor Tracy? Good morning, Councillor Tracy. All right, let's go for a quick break, and then when we get back, my girl, CINA, is ready to take us to Tech and Trends. We'll be back. We're ready for some tech and trends conversation. Siahene, good morning.
Good morning, Biadala. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. And you?
Oh, I'm okay.
Yeah? All right. Take us away, tech and trends.
Thank you. Good morning once again to everyone out there. This is the Trends and Tech segment with me, C. Ahine. This is where we bring you all the latest in the world of technology, as well as the trending stories that has got everyone talking on social media. We have a lot to talk about, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is still the Trends and Tech segment with me, C. Ahine. Moving on to today's stories. First off, let's look at the Teleo with Reverend Ella Duncan Williams. We want to just look at the highlight that happened on this Saturday, the 15th of March. It was a really wonderful program. Let's go for the highlights.
Upon my life, anoint me with your fire. Anoint my tongue with your fire. Let the Holy Ghost come upon me in the name of Jesus. Just as the day of Pentecost, when they gathered at the upper room, your spirit came upon them and they began to speak in different utterances of the language of the Spirit.
To introduce you to the Holy Spirit, to talk about the Holy Spirit, to give you more information about Him so that you can have an encounter with Him, so that you can experience His presence, because truly when you do, everything changes. Amen.
Yes, it was a wonderful time in the presence of God. And if you missed it, you can check out the stream on Reverend Ella's social media platforms to catch up and then enjoy whatever we enjoyed that day. Moving on to the new wine concert with Emoji that happened just yesterday. It was really power-packed. And we had the likes of Kwame Bedu. We had Team Eternity also ministering. Let's go for the video. that was the new wine with Emoji. It was a wonderful, wonderful event. Emoji had to give us some wonderful things that we can't even really talk about much because, Charlie, from praises to worship to ministration, it was really power-packed. So you have to look forward to the new wine concert, Accra edition, that will be happening at the First Love Chapel. Yeah, moving away from that, let's look at something that everyone was talking about over the weekend, and that was the TGMA, the Telecel Ghana Music Awards. And this time we are going to be looking at the gospel categories and the nominees that we got. So let's look at the first half, which is the best gospel artist, and we have the nominations, which is PAC Esther, Joe Metal, Empress Gifty, Dinah Hamilton, Team Eternity Ghana, Emoji Music. Moving on to the best male vocal performance, we had the nominations with Kofi Noel with his song Do Not Fear, Emmanuel Judah with his song Asida, Emoji Music with Anhuadin Fufuro, Ayisi with Can I Live, and Joe Metal with Oba Awomba. Moving on to the best female vocal performance. So I should tell you, Team Eternity really got a lot of nominations this time, and everyone is really excited about it. So one thing that everyone is really talking about was the Nana Esiedu's nomination for best female vocal performance with the song Defe Defe, which is by Team Eternity. We had Lodina the soprano with her song Simply Trusting Every Day, Esther Goodwill with I Choose to Praise, Mima Africa with On Fire, and Titi Owusu with Nobody. Moving on to the best gospel the songwriter of the year. So we have the likes of Team Eternity Ghana competing with Kofi Kinata Sama, Ochiami Kwame, Olive the Boy, and IEC. So this is one thing that everyone is also looking out for. Now let's go to another one that has got everyone talking, which is the International Collaboration of the Year, which is with Joe Metal featuring Sumisola Agbebi. And he's doing this with Dinah Hamilton featuring Mercy Chimo. So this one is really tight because they also, with the secular world, they also have, their own competition. But we are all looking forward to Omba and then the doing of the Lord. We are really looking forward to who will be winning that category for the gospel music industry. Moving to the best traditional gospel song, we have Wuye by Emoji, Watch Me by Empress Gifty, Atene by PAC Esther, The Doing of the Lord, Dinah Hamilton featuring Mercy Chimo, Victory, Mavis Asante, and Omewoya by Queen Darling featuring Judy K. This is one that everyone is also looking out for. Personally, I'm also looking out for that one as well. So, and then we have the Telecel Most Popular Song, the nominee, and this one, Team Eternity with their Defe Defe. I'll not be surprised, if they should win this, because Charlie, Defe Defe got everyone dancing on their feet, and up till now, wherever it's being sung, I can tell you. So Defe Defe, I think they were even playing it in their club. So this is something I am really sure it really has to. Now moving on to the best new artist, we have some secular artists as well, but Team Eternity is there as well. So to our gospel lovers out there, we are just urging all of you to please support your people, vote for them, because this one is going to be something that will get everyone happy, So moving away from the Telecel Ghana Music Awards, and before I forget, so the awards will be on the 3rd of May. Yes, it's a Saturday, the 3rd of May. So let's look forward to it. Moving away from there, let's go to Kenya. So there's a video that has everyone talking about. I know it's going to be an inspiration to everyone out there, so I don't want to talk much. Let's go for the video. When we come back, we'll talk more.
Water. This is an old, dry riverbed. We're gonna dig a hole here and fetch water from that mountain.
After this tribe gave their lives to Jesus and were going through the scriptures and we got to the part about water baptism, they wanted to be water baptized and nothing was going to stop us. So we took turns digging a hole and then they fetched water all night long. They had to carry water more than 2 miles away, bucket by bucket. We were ready for water baptism and these people were so excited. You could feel the presence of the Lord. And then they go into the water. Water in these areas is so hard to come by. Sometimes you have to dig down to 10 feet just to get water. Wow. That is the first time this tribe has ever even seen someone be submerged. And then one after another, they got into the water. For about 3 days, we taught these brand new believers what water baptism truly was. And we talked about Romans chapter 6, verse 4, where it says, we were buried with him through baptism into death. That just as Christ was raised from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of life. But what I didn't know is how serious they took that scripture. They truly believed that when they went under the water, they were going to die in Christ. But when they came back up, they were going to live a new life. They were going to come back to life. But you know what? Even though they thought they were going to actually die when they went under that water, it still didn't stop them from getting in because they wanted to follow Jesus so much that they were willing to die so that they could live a new life in Christ. I wish all of us took baptism this seriously, that our old self truly dies when we go under, but when we come out of that water, we're following Jesus. New life. Only the people standing on this sand today would know the hard work that went behind making this happen. But Jesus has been glorified and scripture has been fulfilled for this tribe. Jesus said in Matthew 28, starting in verse 19.
Yes. So that was a tribe in Kenya. Just is really inspiring. And then I just want to quote something from Luke chapter 15, verse 7, where it says, in the same way, there is more joy in heaven over one lost sinner who repents and returns to God than over 99 others who are righteous and haven't strayed away. This is really inspiring. And you'll be surprised, there were about 68 people that gave their lives to Christ that day. And their hunger and pursuit for God just keeps increasing. They just want to hear more of the word and want to fellowship more with the Lord. And this is really inspiring. If you've not seen anything inspiring today, Charlie, this should just inspire you. This is wonderful. Now, let's come back to Ghana as we are still in the our Heritage Month. Let's see how some churches decided to celebrate the Ghana Month. That is wonderful. So that's a Heritage Month and how some churches decided to, celebrate Ghana in this Ghana Month. And as we are ending and wrapping up, I just want to leave you with a quote by Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And it says that thought without practice is empty and action without thought is blind. So in this fast-paced world, please, let's just stay informed. Let's think critically and let's take intentional steps to achieve our goals. Let's remember that when knowledge meets strategy, success is inevitable. And this is how we wrap up for the Trends and Tech segment with me, C. Ahine. Over to you, Biadela.
Beautiful. I love that. Kwame Nkrumah is such a deep well, I tell you. Like they say, Nkrumah never dies. So you see, we're going to be strategic about how to do things now. Even here in Africa, it's one conversation at a time. Now, there's something coming up. Koko is going to be having a convo about unlocking Africa's wealth and harnessing Africa's economic potential. If we talk about Africa's economic potential, it starts with you. So you want to stay for that conversation. We'll be back.
I wanted to make it a surprise. Why? I knew the dramatic appearance would excite everyone.
I've been looking for you for a very long time.
Why are you so intimidated?
But you just complain that I'm fat.
But you are fat.
Here is my son.
Give me what I want and I will set you free. Stop! Jesus has set me free.
Yes, Lord.
On the top.
Welcome back. Thank you very much for your time. We're grateful that you can join us and stay with us. Let's get into the very final conversation of the hours here on Wake Up Africa. It has to do largely with how, again, I risk repeating myself that most of our economies here are agrarian. Like it or yes, we rely so much on our arable lands here in Africa, where you can see that anything you do, your backyard, once you plant some seeds, you're going to see it germinate. It tells you of how, fertile our lands are. How are we able to now, of course, increase productivity, thereby increasing yield, and of course it brings a lot more money to us, creating wealth through agriculture. But of course, there must be innovation. We must attach the new things, the new ways of doing things to what we do. It must move from subsistence, peasants, to a bit more, mechanizing it. But how serious are our governments? Look, we pay lip service to some of these things and we see the result. The result is that we're struggling with growth, even agriculture. A lot more of resources are pumped into it. You don't get anything. And so today I want us to have a conversation, especially now that there's a younger man at the deputy and the helm of affairs with the issue of agriculture. Quite a number of young people want to go in there. How prepared are you to look at the fallout, the issues that come within, and how you can prepare your mind and your family and whoever you want to go into it with? Let's speak to the man, a man who knows a bit more about these things. I like to be in safe hands. Dr. Gideon Agble is a senior lecturer at SDD, University of Business and Integrated Development Studies in WA. He'll be helping us, also joining us via Zoom. We pray that he is awake and joining us. Mr. Kidi Abadu is a renowned author of Africa's Future and numerous author of books. He's also going to be joining us. But let's start off. Good morning and thank you very much.
Good morning, my brother. Good to see you again.
Yes, how is Wa?
Wa is fantastic. The rains have come in, so we're a bit comfortable now.
Okay.
Yes.
First it was dusty.
Very hot.
And dry.
Dry, yes. Now the rains are coming, so it's good. We're enjoying.
I see. Yes. So we're going to be talking with you on the lines of agricultural innovation, renewable energy, technological advancement and all of that, how we can just maximize gains in that. We also, let me just say good morning to Mr. Kidi Awadu, all the way from Las Vegas in the United States of America. Can you hear me? And good morning and thank you very much for your time, sir.
It is absolutely an honor and a pleasure to be with you again, my dear brother Kokolumo, here on this beautiful space you have all created and invited me to Dominion TV. What an honor.
Absolutely. It's an honor to have you as well. Mr. Kidi Avadu, as I said earlier, is a very distinguished author and a broadcaster, written a lot of books on Africa, more than some Africans have done. I can assure you about that one. Let's start off with where we are currently. Agriculture and that ecosystem.
Yeah.
Paint a picture for me, the current status, not where we want to go, the current status. Anybody who asked you, if you were speaking to investors across the world and they asked you, what is the true state of I know it's huge, but let's just look at where you come from.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good question because the issue is that our agri sector is dominated largely by smallholder farmers.
Okay.
People were doing about 3 or 2 acres and below. You know, over 90% of our produce.
90%?
Yes, exactly.
Smallholder farmers?
Yes. And we have just about 6-7% mainly from large-scale agriculture. Now, that is a problem, you know, right away. About 40% of our population are engaged in agriculture. You know, it's coming down to probably about 33%. In advanced world, on average, 13% and below, you know, are engaged in agriculture. So if United States of America, you know, or Britain or Germany has about 9% of its population engaged in agriculture, yet they're able to produce enough food and even export. Why? When we have about 40% of our population engaged in agriculture, and yet we're not able to feed ourselves. So the problem is that we have over-romanticized smallholder farming. You know, all the time we want to support the smallholder farmer, because it creates jobs, it employs a lot of people. So it is romanticized, it's made to look good, but it will not help us. It's not producing, they can't employ the right technology, they can't produce at the economies of scale that we need to accelerate development. Because agriculture is the only thing we have, is the natural resources we have in terms of land availability, arable land. Africa still has about 60% of the world's arable land now.
Unused?
Yes, unused, untapped, yes. So we have the land, but how do we scale up so that we can produce enough food to feed ourselves and then for our industries so we can export? You know, we need to have an export-driven economy, you know, which is key. So the problem is that currently we are over-reliant on smallholder farmers. I think the problem is that people feel that, if we support the large-scale commercial farming, what are the teeming unemployed farmers going to do? You know, there's a way they will find themselves at various levels of the farming value chain. You know, so we shouldn't worry too much about dispossessing. We are not going to dispossess, you know, smallholder farmers if we encourage, you know, it's not a zero-sum game, which says that when you increase commercial farming, subsistence farming will reduce. No, it will not reduce. You will not dispossess people of their employment. They will still be there in the ecosystem. They will still be farming, but we will need to be food secure. And food security will come from having large-scale commercial farmers or even medium-scale commercial farmers, 10 acres and above, where we can have a lot of young men and women engaged in it. When that happens, farming becomes interesting and attractive to the middle class, the educated class.
I see. When I come back, I'm interested in, because we're going to be talking about innovation, whether or not we have, as it were, tapped into the value chain itself. Because what I hear you say is that you only have smallholder farmers, 90%, about some 10% mechanized in large scale. But we don't have industry, so there's no processing. The finishing of course, where you create whatever it is to finish the product, put it in, you know, some wrappers, boxes. We don't have that and all of that. So paint another picture for me when I come back shortly from Mr. Kidi Avadu. Mr. Kidi Avadu, tell me about the experience, and I want to start off with this. So you live in the United States of America. Is it a case that such a country relies on Africa to get food into the country, or maybe you have your system of creating your own food for which you cannot rely on Africa? Because we always hear of export. We are exporting raw materials. I don't know where it goes though. And we also hear we are importing a lot of millets, rice and all of that. So I'm confused. Paint that picture for me. I'm really confused.
you have placed some significant challenges on the table. And I want to thank you and your guest in studio today, whose name I'm sorry, I'll have to get it. I'll make a note of it. But you've placed some significant challenges on the table. I'm very proud of this body of Pan-African books that I have written. You had mentioned that there are quite a few of them. Well, I'm proud to announce that just in the last 6 weeks, I'm publishing, actually in the last about 9 weeks, I'm publishing a total of 6 books. Now I have another one coming out in just a few days, all of which are addressed toward solving Africa's long-term and existential challenges and plans. One of the most important books that I'm pretty sure you're aware of, my book was entitled The Blackest Soil, Africa Can Feed the World. And in that book, we'd come to the conclusion there were a total of 2.160 billion acres, that would be 874,000 or 874 million hectares of land. Africa can feed 12.9 billion people if all of that soil was producing at its highest level. So if Africa can feed a total of 12.9 billion, why are we struggling to feed 1.54 billion people on the African continent? It's because we haven't solved the existential challenges. So I do talk about rural development, how rural development of agricultural food processing, the food value chain, will do a better job of retaining the young workforce in the rural areas. It is the energy of the young people that will be added to Africa's agricultural self-sufficiency and dynamic that will be the key factor. And with Africa's demographic dividend, we have the young people that make the soil work. So we're going to put these things into place. We're going to talk about using technology for local production or local food processing. Right now, currently, Africa is seeing as much as 30% of its agricultural crops spoil before getting to market. That 30% is costing the continent probably at least $100 billion US per year lost from food spoilage. So that's one of the major problems local processing will solve. A couple of other points, the 10-point food value chain, from seed collecting, from loans for farmers to put in this year's crop, to the technology necessary for putting in the crop, to aggregation of the harvested crops and storage, and then secondary processing. All of these steps need to be brought under our control and not the control of foreign corporations that see the potential for Africa's productivity and encroaching in on its territories. No, we can do this. We can be self-sufficient. Last point I will make is by increasing our production of organic food products, not only are we feeding our children premium food that can allow them to grow to their full mental and physical potential, but we've also increased our product in the global marketplace, increased value of our crops. So putting them all together, we call this the blackest soil. Africa can not only feed itself, Africa can feed the world.
Interesting, very interesting. Of course, when I read some of your books, a lot I have not read, but quite a number of them I have. I mean, it just blows my mind what Africa can do and our potential. So I wanted to know, before I get back to the issues that Mr. Avado raises, the issue of value chain.
Yeah.
What are we doing now? So you talk about feeding ourselves, feeding industry, and of course then export.
Yeah.
The industries, I don't know whether they're existent. Mm-hmm. They are non-existent. So the export, we're only, the food or the things coming from the smallholder farmers are the ones that are being used as export. So we are not processing, and the value chain, so the storage, he also talks about losses. So we are not even storing, we don't even have storage facilities. Walk me through the value chain and how we are not tapping into this.
Okay, so from the farm, we're doing some processing.
Really?
There are levels of processing.
Okay,
we have primary processing, we have secondary, and then we have tertiary processing. Tertiary is when it is wrapped, and it's chocolate for you to eat.
Right.
You know, primary processing is when the cocoa is harvested, it's cut, it is fermented, it is dried, and then exported.
Okay.
You know, or sent to the factory.
Right.
And then at the factory, it is turned into a powder or into a paste. That is secondary processing. You can also sell that, you know, to say Japan or Switzerland, and they will turn that into chocolate.
Okay.
Currently, I'm just using cocoa as a typical example, as a cash crop as well. So typically what's happening now is that we used to export a lot of this raw cocoa after primary processing. We're not doing the secondary processing very much. But now there are a lot of companies, niche Caribou, which are doing secondary processing and then some amount of tertiary, processing.
Right here in Ghana?
Yes, right here in Ghana. Over time, but it's not enough. The issue is that it is not enough. Other crops like cassava, we also do some form of secondary processing where we get our agbelimo, and then we get our gari, But we also need to tap into getting the ethanol and then the pharmaceutical products that are needed from cassava. Yes. The powder, the paste, which is the carrier for pharmaceutical products, So we need to get to that high level, processing where the value actually is. Let me give you a typical example for cashew. We virtually export all our raw cashew nuts. And if the value of raw cashew nut is about $1,000, if you process it into a consumable product, you are adding a value of times 10. Okay, the value is $10,000.
So if you were exporting just the raw cashew nuts,
say $1,000. Yes.
When you process it, you can get 10,000.
Exactly. So that is a challenge. The challenge with tertiary processing is that it is capital intensive. And businesses don't have money lying down where somebody has a heirloom, they've inherited some money. We haven't come that point in Africa's wealth creation journey, where we've inherited wealth from our parents or grandparents and we can transform that into industries. Okay, so we are still heavily bank reliant and family and friends reliant when we are raising capital. The problem is that the cost of capital and the way capital is engineered, does not support the kind of production activities that we are engaged in. Let me explain that briefly. So, for instance, if you go for a typical bank loan, the interest rate is per annum. So whether you're working or not, you have to be paying interest. Cashew grows for, let's say, or is harvested from January to, let's say, about April, May. So you go for a loan, you get a cashew, and then you are processing. But you're supposed to process throughout the whole year to engage the factory. Okay. Meanwhile, the season is just about 6 months or about 4 or 5 months. Yet you've contracted a loan that you have to keep paying on across the year. So the framing of our financial system, the way we give out loan, for agricultural productivity, it's not helpful to the farmer, it's not helpful to the processor. It's also capital intensive. And the cost of contracting a loan is high. So you have a lot of foreigners coming into the continent with cheaper sources of finance from elsewhere, say 4 to 6% interest rate, whilst the Ghanaian businessman is getting about 30% interest rate. Exactly. So there's no way you can compete with the Indian who is coming to buy the raw materials like cashew and sending them to India or Vietnam for processing. So that is a problem. But our immediate issue is that we need access routes to the farms. As Awadu rightly pointed out, we're losing about 30% of our produce on the farm, at the farm gate. They get rotten. They don't.
30%.
Yeah, 30% exactly. And it's been like that for a long time. And that is why infrastructure is key to leverage reaccessing the hinterland to bring crops to the factory centers, the production or the processing centers. That is key. So government must focus on infrastructure, rural roads, which is critical, and then also some kind of secondary facilities like packaging or let's say pack houses, what we call pack houses, whereby the produce are brought to some centers around the farming communities where they are washed, they are cleaned, in order to meet the phytosanitary conditions or factors for the factory. So all these things come to play, and we must begin to raise some kind of business champions who would be supported. We need to cut down the cost of production or the cost of contracting a loan.
Right.
So the government must come in, step in. Benevolent organizations must also come in, where we can kind of have some kind of bridge capital, where the risk element of interest rates is taken out. Okay, because if you talk to our bankers, they said that the reason why our interest rates are high, apart from inflation and other factors contributing to contribute towards the cost of capital, is that we have so much risk of default, and that's one. Governments can come in. We also have political risk. we also have issues of insurance so that we can reduce the cost of capital for our businesses to be able to uptake, industrialization.
I'm here thinking, and it might be wild and simplistic, but help me before I go to Mr. Wadu, or maybe let me just share this with you. So it's not the case that if I am the farmer, I have the land, I own the land, and I work on the land. Mine is to just create the nuts. Let's take cashew, for instance. The enabling environment that we always say government must create must be able to create others in the value chain, so that I don't get to involve myself so much in the processing. Okay, so that there are others whose job is to just maybe build the factory or do whatever it is, whether tertiary or secondary, so that we all can have jobs to do, rather than maybe putting the whole job on me. Is that the idea?
No, that's not it. We are not putting it on government.
Okay, no. As a person,
yes.
Because if I create the nuts, my thoughts right now is, okay, when I process it, I could sell it 10 times how much I was.
Yes.
But somebody must be able to do that on their own, to say that I'm waiting for you to create the nuts, I'll process it, and it goes to the next level. There's another person in the value chain. Is that simplistic?
It's that simplistic, but then the reality on the ground can be different, and if we're using, again, cashew as our case study, cashew is a very competitive crop. The challenges in the sector are huge. We used to get a lot of raw nuts from Cote d'Ivoire, but Cote d'Ivoire has been very smart about, how they go about it.
Cote d'Ivoire?
Yes. So they produce about 10 times what Ghana is producing in terms of raw cashew nuts.
Cote d'Ivoire?
Yes. They produce about 1.2 million tons of cashew annually. Ghana is producing just about 150,000, just about 10%, 11% of what Cote d'Ivoire produces. And they want to now process all. So they have enough nuts for their factories. Ghana does not have enough nuts. And we also have not had the policy consistency over the years, to be able to design a framework that supports our businessmen who want to go into, processing. So we need to sit back and look at our situation, do a proper problem analysis, and see what the challenges are in the agricultural sector.
Don't we know already?
So we know, but I don't think we have the political will. Currently our president, His Excellency John Mahama, is talking about service centers. This is a fantastic idea because the cost of production is so high. The factors of production are also very variable. One element is mechanization. We have not adopted mechanization very well in our small scale holder farming systems. So the issue is that the presidency is proposing the idea of having mechanized centers in various districts level, whereby a farmer can go, get the tractor and then employ the tractor on his farms to weed for him at a fee, which is fantastic. Because hitherto, we used to donate the tractors to farmers. What we've discovered is that when you give the farmer the tractor, and the tractor breaks down, he does not have the capacity to repair them, which is a problem. So now we have a pool. We put these tractors into a pool where everybody can access, and then there are specialist mechanics who can take care of this for the whole district, so that the machines are always working. So the value chain will be put into separate units and sections of specialization, that the farmer doesn't have to worry too much, or the businessman or the industrialist doesn't have to worry to carry the burden alone.
I see.
But we'll burden share. When we're able to improve various agents in the value system, we're able to upgrade their skill and then organize them very well into sectors.
Mr. Wadu, I'm here thinking how we're able to introduce technology into farming where our farm routes are bad here on the African continent. So take Ghana, for instance. Farm routes from where the farm gets to the centers, the market centers, bad. You don't have storage facilities as well, so you can store. There are quite a number of things Dr. Agbele speaks about that is not there. And we are thinking of introducing technology into it. Is there any way we can bypass some of these things and introduce technology to upskill and to solve some of these challenges from where you sit?
Absolutely. In fact, I really do appreciate the guest in the studio, Dr. Kofi Agbele, I believe is his name.
Yes.
I appreciate the fact that this brilliant man has opened up the dialogue, beginning the dialogue with this critical segment of the economy agriculture, but realizing now it's got to extend into technology, innovation, public-private partnerships, and all. These are the way that we as African people are going to become self-sufficient and solve our problems. In the latest, one of the latest books I have out, it's called The African Future, Empowering a United and Prosperous Africa for Future Generations. We talk about expanding Africa's self-sufficiency potential. So here's what we're going to have to do. We have to create an integrated, synchronous loop of everything. We have, first and foremost, the world's largest free trade agreement is ours to claim and to build upon, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. But beyond that, we can move into consolidating the centrality of African culture. Obviously, a conversation about agriculture is founded in large part upon the culture of the people. We expand this into infrastructure development, which Brother Kofi, Brother, you just brought the conversation now into our critical need to invest in infrastructure development. We're producing wonderful foods. We're processing them on a local basis. We've retained our rural labor force and we've energized them. But now we put our crops into semi-trucks and transportation vehicles on bad infrastructure. So it's going to be a lot of different elements all coming together. This is one of the reasons I have taken such a great interest in it, because from the position of an academic in the diaspora, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, unless I can excite my diaspora-born family to come to Africa, to engage in direct investment, foreign direct investment, and grow together, partner together, then Africa can't do it all on its own. In the book, one of the things I did is I tallied the global African population, 1.54 billion Africans on the continent. But if we add the African diaspora and compare our diaspora to that, say, of China or India, which have large national populations, guess what? We, as African people, 1.784 billion people on the planet, are the world's largest ethnic heritage group. So therefore, culture becomes very, very important toward all areas of our development. And another key element, I'd list actually probably 14 of these different elements that we're going to all weave together in a collaborative partnership, synchronistic partnership to achieve our goals. Education for this wonderful, booming African demographic dividend, all these beautiful children. We're going to do a better job of educating our people towards sovereign and sustainable development.
Well, we're still here. We're talking largely about the issues of unlocking Africa's wealth through harnessing of Africa's economic potential, and it's through agriculture. Still having Dr. Agbile and, of course, Mr. Kidi Avadu on the line from the United States of America, Las Vegas. It tells me we are our own enemies. And I don't want us to go there because that would be just sentimental. And so let's deal with the issues, because if Côte d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso is able to increase in tons and tons of production of things that probably we used to champion over the 10 years that we have not done so, I'm here thinking that probably we're just being an enemy or enemies to the state. But what is the current modus operandi of the government in order to scale up, to bring people into the chain, the value chain? And you can use any crop as, if you like, a case study of what the government really wants to do, because I see a lot of scattered agencies as well. Tree Crop Development Authority, the Agricultural Ministry itself, and there are quite a number of associations with vested interests. And so I'm here thinking, how can we consolidate and come together to use what strategies the government has, which of course I don't know. So share with us. Maybe use one crop and tell me what the government wants to do.
So again, I'll probably use cashew and probably mention other crops as well.
Please do.
I'm not an official speaker for the government though.
Right.
But
I just want to
privy to what is happening in the industry,
right,
and also from the intentions of government in terms of government current government manifesto,
right,
and then also from the budget statement and the State of the Nation address. affairs. So for us, we pick certain words and certain concepts which we find exciting. And one is that the president has initially spoken of the idea of agribusiness, and value chains.
Agribusiness
and then value chains. Okay. So you realize that the Ministry of Trade, the name has been a bit amended to reflect this agribusiness ethos, and the interest and passion of the president. We don't have a choice because we are cut out of the international debt market where we normally go for loans and then we come and consume. So we have to look internally, inward, and see what are our assets and what are our strengths. What can we build upon? So our assets are basically agriculture, as we have the large arable lands. A Chinese friend once said that in Ghana, if we put cassava anywhere, it will germinate. And that was very interesting, So we can easily grow our crops, but we are not doing it efficiently. We're also not doing it efficiently because, let me give you, again, a typical example in the cashew sector. A cashew buyer or processor needs to deal with a lot of farmers, thousands of farmers, in order to feed his factory. So buying from separate thousands of farmers in order to feed your factory is very tiring. It is a waste of time for the manufacturer. That is why when farmers are put together into value chains, into cooperatives, at the community level, normally we call them societies. At the district level, we call them unions. At the regional or national level, we call them associations. So you can have, let's say, Subinja Farmers Society, Cashew Farmers Society, or you can have any community, Pusupu or Bontebo, Cashew Farmers Society. When a producer reaches out to this value chain actor,
the society,
he can easily get about 10% of his commodities. So he deals with fewer farmer leaders, in order to feed his factory. So value chains are very critical. It reduces the drag and enables the producer or the processor to collect more produce easily or easier than dealing with individual farmers. So at the farm level, then when we come to the buyers level, what we call the aggregators, it is also easier if they are into unions. So you have a very strong union in Sampa, and if you reach Alaji Justice or whoever is in charge, immediately they get you the commodities because they can talk to their buyers platform, and then easily you mobilize your resources and then you go. You do that at every level of the value chain. When people come together and form groups, it's easier to deal with the groups. And the president is talking about that, value chain actors being formed into groups. When they are also into groups, it's easier to train them. It's easier to educate them. It's easier to supply even inputs.
Seeds, fertilizers.
Credit, everything.
Right.
It is far easier that way. So we need to come back to the drawing board and say, how can we mobilize all the actors in the value chain? Then we can, through that, build up the mobilization of resources to the top. When this happens also, we can monitor the fertilizer and the inputs that we are sending down, because when you give it to the group will ensure, and with this recent idea of group lending, whereby the group becomes responsible for, the repayment, not the individual.
Okay.
That way, you are sure that the group will pay. These are the systems that we need to, build up the value chain through farmer-based organizations and other unions and associations.
As we speak, they are non-existent?
They are there, but they are few, too few to deal with.
So we create more.
We have to make this the way, because Côte d'Ivoire, that is how it works.
It does?
Yes, every farmer belongs to a union. Okay, there is Baum is in every canton, or there is a chef. You can't go past the leader. So everybody know where they have to send their commodity, to. You must follow the rules, And we are in our cashew sector is like a play all. Everybody comes in at any time, they do whatever they want to do, and then they go. So it is not structured. It is largely unregulated, and I know the Tree Crops Development Authority is doing something about it, but we need to push quickly so that we can organize our production sectors very well, and then increase efficiency, train more people, plant more crops, and then grow from there.
I see. So yes, the phenomenon of smallholder farmers still stands.
Yeah.
But what you need to do is to put them in cooperatives, unions,
exactly.
and all of that.
Exactly.
Thereafter, then they can interface with the factory owners,
yes.
and then processors, and then it could cascade.
And all kinds of arrangements can come between that, even including credit systems, where the processor can give some support to the farmers, and the farmers in turn, because they are working with this cooperative in particular, they in turn can pledge their produce, to the processor. All kinds of relationships, relationships are amazing. There are all kinds of things can come out of it positively, to grow the agricultural sector.
I see. Ms. Awadu, one of the things that I find very interesting, and when you have conversations behind the scene, is to say that most of our countries have worked in silos, and so they want to grow on their own. There's no sense of partnership towards the development of these things as far as agriculture is concerned. And so you find Burkina Faso wants to be very independent. And so once they are okay, well, we don't want to connect with people again. Cote d'Ivoire, same. Quite a number of African countries want to do that. I can understand the suspicion and all of that. Where you sit, and you've talked about collaborations, you've talked about partnerships, but it does not seem as though we're going to get there anytime soon. Will there be a case that we could achieve this feat?
When you speak about we have this bad habit of working in silos, that's such an incredibly important idea that all of us need to stop and reflect on this. Am I guilty of doing the same thing? Right. And I will say from my own personal perspective, yes, I have been guilty of working in silos, which is why you and I, and in the background, we're having so much international conversations. I'm very proud of our beloved sister, Dr. Arikana Chimburu-Kwao, Professor Pielo Lumumba, and others from across the continent that are now reminding us of this tremendous opportunity that the African Continental Free Trade Agreement offers us all. And we have to admit, we are still suffering from the colonial borders. The people of Cote d'Ivoire, the people of Burkina Faso, of Ghana, of Togo, Benin, these are essentially one heart, one people with a common shared history across millennia. Now we have to start looking at the century ahead, the millennia ahead. This is the African century. It was actually declared so by agencies of the United Nations. This is the African century. So our challenge is to now find a way for Cote d'Ivoire with their cocoa production in Nigeria, cocoa production in Ghana, to come together and create the world's largest cocoa or chocolate processing mechanism and maintain the high integrity of organic production of our products and get into the global competition. We have so much more to win by cooperating, collaborating, than we have to lose by learning to speak to each other in a common language of common, collective, collaborative development.
There comes the issue of land and what we have done to the land. I don't know whether it's a deliberate attempt for other nationals to be able to destroy our land and then render whatever produce that comes and says, flag this so that we are able to grow. They may sound as conspiracy theories, but you can tell. So let's use, forgive me, China. China comes in, is engaged, even though they know illegal mining is bad. They say, people are, enabling it, so we are also doing it. Yeah. So they are here and they are destroying our cocoa lands. Now they are growing cocoa and saying and flagging ours to say that because our land is poisonous and all of that. And our governments have sat aloof. And I hear that, look, if we continue on this tangent, we might get to a point where they'll be flagged because there are standards everywhere. Yeah. And that's what they use to stop us. Yeah. Walk me through that and whether or not it's a big challenge as well. Or is just maybe concentrated in a region that we can deal with and move?
No, I used to think similarly about this conspiracy theory, whether it is true or not, that probably it's a kind of a national security issue that our major foreign exchange earner is being destroyed, through galamsey, illegal mining, which then exposes a lot of dangerous chemicals like mercury and arsenic, and then these things, once they are exposed, they find their way through the plant system, right. And traces can now be found in some of our cocoa, which should be a cause for worry. I feel that, we live in what we call the patrimonial state or the new patrimonial state, whereby there's a certain kind of relationship, beneficial relationship between the Galamsey business kingpin and then our politician, which is like rob my back, I rob your back kind of thing, which has also weakened the ability of our thought leaders, or the ability of our political leaders to be able to stand firm and said, look, enough is enough. Let's save our forests. Let's save our cocoa plants. Because Ghana actually, the size of cocoa production has shrunk drastically this year. And it's mainly because, it's not just about climate change or climate variations. It's mainly because we've destroyed a lot of farms. Most of the cocoa growing areas also happen to be gold, tend to find themselves in the gold belts, of Ghana. Right. Yes, where we grow cocoa normally is also where the gold belt is. And so we are actually reducing the number of trees and thereby reducing the number of plants. Cocoa Board needs to get involved drastically, in a major way in terms of the fight against Galamsey. Also, Cocoa Board needs to fight and support the politician in ensuring that the quality of the cocoa beans we are getting is top-notch, so that we can meet our high standard in our markets. We also need to plant more trees, and we can't stop that. Let me give you a scenario. Yesterday, I had a meeting with a former boss at the Godfather, who was giving me some data, and I was very surprised, and when I checked, it was true. The amount of cocoa we're growing during Kwame Nkrumah's time in 1960, about 650,000 tons. Ghana's cocoa crop has actually shrunk. Okay, this year we're getting about 450,000 metric tons of cocoa. How can, during Kwame Nkrumah's time, we're producing more cocoa up to now? Imagine 1960, the population.
The population, I was just going to get there.
And the labor available to work in cocoa, and the technology even available at the time. So it means that our political leaders have somehow failed us. Comparatively to Cote d'Ivoire, who were producing far more cocoa than them in the 40s, 50s, and in the 60s they begin to take over. Now Cote d'Ivoire took over, and then they are producing about 2 million tons of cocoa annually.
How?
Exactly, that's the question. How? So it means that the thing is that we have not been deliberate in our ways. We think that things will just happen. Again, to borrow one saying from a friend, that in Ghana, it appears that our problem is that we don't have a problem. We are not hungry enough for success. We are not hungry enough to see that things change. And so that hunger, it's not there. So it permits, that malaise permeates from everybody right to our political leaders, because we have not seen our youth on the streets demanding certain things. Unlike in Kenya, in Kenya, let me give you the scenario in Kenya when the youth went on the rampage a few years or a year ago.
Oh, yes.
It was the equivalent of Kenke increasing from, let's say, 1 cedi to 1 cedi 30 pesos. And then the youth went on rampage. And Kenke moved from 1 cedi to 2 cedi, nothing happened. It moved from 2 cedis to 3 cedis, nothing happened. It moved from 4 cedis to 5 cedis, nothing happened. I'm not saying something should happen. Thank God I'm in the studios of Dominion TV at Action Chapel, so I know the National Security will not come and pick me and say that I am activating or asking the youth to be on the streets. Right. No, that's not what I'm asking for. I see. I feel that policy must be deliberate, development must be deliberate for us to grow, and we are not doing it.
See. Final words from you, Mr. Vadu, in about 2 minutes. The issue of Africa's future with agriculture. Final words.
My final thoughts is Africa's future with agriculture is incredibly right. But Africa's got to be firm about achieving very specific hallmarks or landmarks along this journey. The first landmark, Africa needs to be moving towards self-sufficiency. Second point, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is the key to a future that we've got to unleash with all deliberation. And third is the addition of innovative technologies, such as using drone technologies, mobile communications, using apps designed specifically for farmers to get their products into aggregation and into the food value chain. All of these have got to be implemented. I'm quite optimistic about this future, which is why I've just written and published this new book, The African Future. Africa has a bright spot on the horizon, and we're going to do a better job at fending off external competitors throughout these processes.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for always waking up to join us here on Wake Up Africa. Mr. Kidi Awadu is a renowned author and lots of books he's written, and of course also a very, very experienced broadcaster as well. Of course, same Dr. Gideon Kofi Agbele is a senior lecturer at SDD, University of Business and Integrated Development Studies in WA here in Ghana. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I'm grateful. Let's do this more often. I'm sure you are getting the picture as well of what the ecosystem is like, and I want you to get into the conversation. Always contact us and let's lead you on to the path of, if you like, knowledge, so much so that you can help yourself get abreast with the issues. My name is Kokuluma, and I cannot wait to see you again on another edition of Wake Up Africa tomorrow. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.